Welcome to the Craig Dallas Rice Show. I'm Craig Dallas Rice, and today I have a couple of special guests on. I have Rachel Brice and Jess Gerrior, and they're involved with food systems, and I'd like to introduce them. We have Jess and Rachel. Welcome.
Hi. Hi.
And we'd already talked about this. I'm going to start off asking Jess about herself, and then we'll give you a chance to introduce yourself, Rachel. Okay. Jess, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with food systems?
Sure. I'm a doctoral student at Antioch University, New England. I'm in the Environmental Studies program, and I'm studying community food empowerment is my research topic. What supports me to do this work is a fellowship through C&S Wholesale Grocers. They're based right here in Keene. Yeah. And I work with their Workplace Organic Gardens project. So C&S employees at our sites in Keene and Brattleboro, North and South Hatfield, Massachusetts, and even some folks down in New Jersey and South Carolina are using company-provided land to grow fresh food, mostly vegetables, some herbs, some fruits for themselves and their families. And a large portion of what they grow, for some gardeners it's all of what they grow, goes to local hunger relief efforts. And through Antioch, we provide them with education and support and project management, and that's what I'm doing currently.
Yeah. Can you tell me, how did you get recruited into doing that? Or
I was invited to apply for this fellowship through a collaboration between Antioch University and C&S. And I also have a master's degree in environmental education through Antioch, and had been working in sustainability and food systems before that.
Right. And we also have some slides that kind of show a little bit of what you guys are doing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll take a look at the slide number 1, please. All right.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite photos of the project to date. These are some C&S employees at one of our sites on Summit Road, which is across the street from the YMCA. And these employees gathered at the very beginning of the season to mark out their plots, and you don't see much growing behind them just yet because it had been freshly tilled by that point by a volunteer who came with their tractor. Nice. But they had just gotten there to take a look at the space and divide up who was taking what plot and which would be common plots, and get the season started there. So a lot of new employees this year for that site.
Yeah. And we have several slides, so I guess we can just go to the next slide,
sure.
Right? For right now, okay.
This is actually from one of the sites in South Hatfield, and the C&S employee gardener here looks like they're taking care of some tomatoes and basil. Yes. But what's happening in North and South Hatfield is very exciting, because 2 of the site coordinators within this project happen to be brother and sister at 2 different sites. And so they're using that competitive impulse to really grow a lot of food. I'm told they're doing giant pumpkins, and an overall goal of the project is for all of the employees to grow more for local food security than they did last year. And it's a lot of food. The average over the last several seasons has been about 1,300, 1,400 pounds per season. And that's just what we've recorded at the 2 Keene sites. So.
And basically, I know it's a good idea to, encourage people to have their own home gardens too, right? I mean, is this in any way involved with more community-wide effort?
Yeah, absolutely. C&S employees, if they're not participating at the sites at their workplace, can also garden at home and bring their produce in for their home gardens and be part of the project in that way. What makes the program, one of the things that makes the program really unique and special, is that for those who can't garden at home, whether they live in an apartment complex or don't have good soil or just don't have the support at home to grow there, can do it at their workplace, so they can easily go in 15 minutes early, leave 15 minutes late, or take a break during their lunch break. And so in addition to actually growing food, they also get engagement with the outdoors and engagement with each other and team building and all of the health and wellness, psychological and emotional wellness benefits of gardening in the workplace. So it makes it easy, and we meet them where they are.
Yeah, it's good to get your hands in the dirt, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you want to go to the next slide? And
Yeah, sure.
I think we have a couple more regarding. Oh, that's
Yeah.
the one I like for some reason. With
Yeah, I think you said your favorite part is the map down in the lower right
yes,
corner.
Yeah,
and
the whole garden.
Yeah, so there's a couple of elements in this photo that kind of bring it all together. Another unique aspect of this program is, of course, the collaboration between C&S and Antioch. And so in addition to myself, there's a garden educator who develops materials that support the gardeners to raise as much of the produce as they can. And sometimes that means some hands-on support, and other times that means distributing some materials on potato beetles or powdery mildew, and helping people to understand beneficial insects and the best organic techniques.
Right.
And so that photo was a little educational center developed by one of our garden educators.
Cool.
People use the maps and the folders and things to swap recipes, and it's great if you see one of your neighbors in the plots growing beans on a trellis and you've never done it that way. You can find out who that is and go and talk to them while you're at work, and you know, share ideas
can
and
learn from their their fellow gardener.
Yeah. So it's a lot of community building too.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think we have one more slide in regards to the C&S effort there.
Yeah, this is that same group of gardeners from the first photo putting down stakes and a center walkway where the hoses now are for watering the gardens, and just a really great, enthusiastic bunch of participants that we have this year. And all of that brown space that you see in that photo is now chock full of green vegetables right now.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, I saw a lot of employees of C&S, standing around gardening. Were they getting paid?
Well, their employers...
Was it during work hours they get paid for gardening?
Well, no, but their employer supports them through the use of the gardens. And like I said, a lot of the employees will just go out and take that easy 10-minute break and do the watering. And if employees go away for vacation, they can talk to each other and say, hey, can you prune my tomatoes while I'm going to be away? And some of it happens on the weekends, so there's lots of creative ways to build the community gardening experience around the workday.
Right.
So.
Well, I'm glad to hear that a local company is involved in helping to feed the community and their own employees, and that's I hope if everyone who was at work had a plot, I mean, feed the world probably.
Yeah, and the employees who are engaged, I mean, a lot of them have been doing it for a few years now, and they really enjoy it. It's very important to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know we haven't heard from Rachel yet, and I want to know a little. Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in food systems?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I've been doing food and environmental work for a number of years. Currently, I'm a master's degree candidate at Antioch University and pursuing my master's in environmental studies.
Right.
And I'm also working with an organization that's part of Antioch called Community Garden Connections. And so Community Garden Connections, or CGC, we work to support food security and community resilience in the face of climate change in Keene and the local area.
Yes.
And one of the ways that we do this is by partnering with different social service agencies in Keene, helping the folks in that agency start, build, maintain their own community garden. And so we provide them with support and education, and we have a number of different events throughout the year. And we're also pretty involved in the broader community. We were involved in Feast on This Film Festival with Monadnock Farm and Community Coalition, and we work closely with the Cheshire County Conservation District. So we're pretty involved.
Yes.
We've been around since 2011, working with other groups who are also doing good work in community food security here in Keene.
Yes.
And so I'm pretty heavily involved in that. And then another one of my primary roles is I serve as the garden manager for the Westmoreland Garden Project, which is a 1-acre vegetable production plot out in Westmoreland, New Hampshire. It's at the old Cheshire County complex where the old jail used to be.
Oh, okay.
And so we have a mixed vegetable production as well as a small orchard, and we're almost entirely supported by volunteers. We have our regular work days on Tuesday afternoons from 4 to 6, and always welcome people to come out and get involved. It's a lot of fun.
Right.
But everything we grow is used for charitable donations. So we send the majority of it to the community kitchen in Keene. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's fantastic. I want to know a little bit more about food security. What's the idea of the food security?
Well, the idea of food security is that everybody has the right to have regular access to healthy, safe, and culturally appropriate food. And so there are a number of people in Keene who struggle with food insecurity. They don't have enough to eat on a daily basis, or they don't necessarily know where their next meal is coming from.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, I can't remember exactly where I saw this. It might have been just a documentary or something, but I remember someone who was saying, they had a limited amount of funds, and they had a family, and it was cheaper to go buy fast food than it was to go to the grocery store and get fresh produce and make their own food. And it's a pretty sad state when you are feeding your family, fast food over fresh produce, or something more wholesome. And I think what you guys are doing is helping to feed the larger community, right?
All of what we grow at the Westmoreland Garden Project gets donated, but there's also other cool programs in the area specifically to address that need. So there's something called, this is Market Match, is that what they're calling it? So if you're a person who receives SNAP benefits, you can take your benefits to the local farmers market, and they'll match you dollar for dollar. So if you use 20 of your own SNAP dollars, then they'll match 20. So we're trying to adjust that specifically.
I have seen that advertised. They are getting the word out, if I saw it.
So I have some pictures too, actually, Craig, that I'd really like to show about some things from Westmoreland.
Let's take a look.
So can we see that first slide? So early in June, it was an event that took place over the first 2 Saturdays in June. Based on a grant that we received from the National Resources Conservation Service, NRCS, as part of the USDA, they gave us a grant to build a greenhouse, a high tunnel greenhouse. So over 2 Saturdays, we used the labor and volunteer support of community members who came out and helped us put it together. And then those community members were in turn supported by many different local businesses, local restaurants, local farms who gave us food and coffee to give to our volunteers to support them in their work. So there's another 2 slides of that in particular.
Okay.
So at the end of the second day on Sunset, I took the picture of the tunnel. So it's 26 by 60, and it's really going to help us increase not only the amount and variety of produce that we can provide to the community, but also extends our growing season. So there's the actual physical work that's taking place. That's something I'm really excited about. And then there's just seeing how much support and care there is from so many different places in the community, which is something I'm really excited about.
And bringing the community together.
Really and then we have such an opportunity to provide support and love back to the community, because not only do we grow and produce food, but we also do educational workshops out at the garden. And so I welcome field trips and volunteer groups and school groups and all of that stuff.
Absolutely.
So
one thing about the high tunnel greenhouse, is that what it's called? It's called high because it's not, there's a difference between a low. Some people actually have greenhouses that you can't walk into, I guess. That's what it basically boils down to.
If you're a home gardener, and actually we recently did a workshop on season extension for the home garden. If you're a home gardener, you may not have the space or the funds or even the desire to have something that's 60 feet long in your backyard. But if you want to grow kale, into the snowy season, you can. Some people call it a low tunnel or just row cover. You can make little hoops that are just a couple feet off the ground. And so it's called a high tunnel to differentiate it from some of the smaller ones.
Okay, I just never heard that before.
But it's just a greenhouse.
Hey, you ready for the next slide?
Sure.
I know you got a couple more.
And so it's a lot of fun. The volunteers come out and we try to take harvest photos of what we've grown, and we have a good time. And I don't know.
They look like they all had a good time. I mean,
it's a different assemblage each week, but you see some familiar faces and you see some newcomers, which is really exciting. And
Oh, absolutely.
I do volunteer at the Westmoreland Garden Project.
Oh, okay, cool.
You've got a cool event coming up, don't you?
Yes, actually on Tuesday, July 24th, we're doing a workshop on workplace organic gardens, and people can come and learn what we do at the C&S workplaces. And if you're in a business or a nonprofit profession of any kind, and you're in the Monadnock region, you can come and get ideas for bringing workplace gardens into your own workplace, and get to network with other people in the region and bring home some resources that we've developed, and that'll be facilitated by Maddie Walter, who's the garden educator for the project this season. So if folks are interested in learning about that, they can look up the C&S Workplace Gardens website, or email me, and I can give you that info too. So,
as far as like, why would someone want to get involved? Can you give us an idea?
So many reasons.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And there's shown scientific benefits just from being outside with a group of people. Being outside in general. There's a bacteria in the dirt that actually acts as an antidepressant, so digging in the dirt makes you happy.
It's not just your imagination, although your imagination is very important. But there is scientific evidence about the chemistry of soil and how it really affects our mood and everything. I mean, for workplace gardening and other forms of community gardening are somewhat different depending on the situation, but a lot of the benefits carry through in all the situations as far as you know, team building, leadership, community resilience, that social and cultural aspect of resilience, you know, healthy habits in terms of exercise, diet, and nutrition, being able to eat locally and kind of reduce the carbon footprint of our food choices. And really, I mean, one of the biggest reasons why employees participate is just the sense of giving back and knowing that your efforts are being well received, and you know, we're all members of our local food system. People who receive the produce, people who grow the produce, people who share it and eat it and compost, and you know, these are all ways of being part of the food system. And you know somebody in any of those situations, so it's a great way to kind of feel connected to the larger picture.
Yes.
And you're always learning in a garden.
Yeah.
You know, whether you're gardening with others or whether you're gardening on your own, if you're paying attention, there's always something to learn.
Yeah.
So that's another reason.
One of the things I would probably need to learn first is the difference between a weed and what's not a weed. Because
come out, I can show
some
you.
people don't trust me to weed their gardens if they I'm going to pull half the flowers out.
True. Well, there's different philosophies about that too, you know. Personally, and a lot of people just see it and they think it's a weed, but it's actually, you taught me this. It's delicious and high in omega-3 fatty acids.
Oh, so. Like the dandelions.
Dandelions
you can actually make a salad out of the dandelion
so many things.
Leaves, right? Okay, got it. Can you tell us a little bit about like the special, you know, needs, challenges you have that you need help, you know, with? I mean, why would you need volunteers, first of all? You know,
the biggest one is volunteers, because what we do quite literally depends on them. We're almost entirely hand dug. We don't use big machinery on our property. So definitely volunteers. I think in terms of needs, it's almost a two-way street, because as much as we need people to come, I need and want people to come so that I can give them what they want or need. You know, and so I'd love to get school groups come out. I have a background as an educator. I was a classroom teacher for many years, and I'd love to have school groups come out, do field trips, do informal education sessions. We'd love to have, you know, if you're a birder or somebody who's into bugs or someone who's a botanist, the Westmoreland Garden is a great site for doing species inventory. So we do have needs for volunteers and for donors. But we also have a lot to offer in terms of the Westmoreland Garden.
I know the kids would love it.
Kids would love it.
I was a kid once.
I
love field trips, especially as something outside, right?
Absolutely. I think for the for whether it's workplace gardens or any other kind of home gardens, you mentioned those, or whatever way you participate in the local food system, I think there's a great need to learn a little bit more about your local food system. Talk to the buyers at your grocery store, talk to your local farmer at the farm stand or the farmer's market, learn about what it is that they're doing. If you go to a workplace to earn an income and your workplace isn't gardening or contributing to the food system in some way, ask about, you know, what you could do. Find the leadership opportunities. You had mentioned Monadnock Farm and Community Coalition, and we've both worked with them in different capacities to bring more people into the conversation and, you know, find out what are the parts and pieces and how can we help them to work together.
Absolutely.
I like that you mentioned grocery stores. Grocery stores are a huge driver of the larger food system.
Yes.
And they're driven by money, by the dollar.
Right.
And so the more people who are going to their grocery stores and saying, where's the local produce, where's the local dairy, where's the local meat, the more the grocery stores might start to pay attention. And then that would hopefully trickle down into maybe we can start shifting some of our subsidy programs towards small and local rather than huge and corporate.
Good point.
That's true. Small changes can really build up to a very large effect, and people shouldn't underestimate the power that they have, whether it's in the workplace or at home or in the community, to you know, bring fresh, good local food to people, all of us who really need it.
Right on. We have just a few minutes left, and I want to give you both an opportunity, just, you know, real quick, to have, you know, any last message, you know, tell people how they can get in touch or get involved. It's up to you. Just, you know, you have a couple of minutes each, I think. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I mentioned the C&S Workplace Organic Garden, so if you do an internet search for that, you'll find us pretty easily. There's some great resources on the C&S site about workplace gardening, and then there's also the resource hub that was developed by Community Garden Connections. But a lot of those resources are built around the feedback that we've gotten from the folks that we work with about what's really useful to them. And then if folks want to email me about the workshop coming up on July 24th, that is from 9 to 12, and it's at the C&S offices at Optical Ave. They can email csgardens at antioch.edu.
Okay.
And if anyone's interested in Community Garden Connections broadly, the work they're doing in the community, or if you're a local nonprofit social service organization who might be interested in starting a garden and would like to talk to somebody about that, or if you're interested in getting involved with the Westmoreland Garden Project, you can email communitygardens@antioch.edu.
All right. And I see the Antioch connection there, you both share.
Right.
We have to do a whole nother show on that probably, but can you just tell us a little bit, like, why is Antioch involved?
Well, Antioch's philosophy is very community-centered. You know, one of the slogans is, you know, because the world needs you now.
Oh, okay.
And that applies to really all of the programs: psychology, education, environmental studies, and certainly. So I think as far as it applies to community food security and resilience, it definitely is a focus here in the Monadnock region, in the city of Keene for sure. But like we said, what we do here in whatever small ways, they matter to the larger picture. So
absolutely,
Antioch's mission in terms of serving its community is very strong.
Yeah, well, I do notice Antioch is involved in several community projects that I know of.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's a whole nother show, actually.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about our campus garden, but that's part of that big picture, too.
Yeah, there's a big campus garden, too. That
if you want to tell us about it, and I'll give you about 1 minute.
So the campus garden is also part of Community Garden Connections. It wasn't originally started by CGC. It was a different department.
Sustainability and social justice.
Right, but they grow produce that supports the soup day that's held on campus, so that fresh soup is made and then served to students and faculty there at campus. So.
And the public can come to support that too.
Fridays 11 to 1.
It's delicious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds delicious. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do a song. I do a song at the end of each show. And the songs don't always have anything to do with the subject, but this one is called Jumbalaya. And I heard this song at a Texas dance hall when I was a kid, and it just, I always loved this song. But it talks about jambalaya and filet gumbo, and it's just, you know, it mentions food, so I thought it'd be appropriate.
Great.
Well, I guess that's what I'm going to do for the people,
Thanks,
for my audience who, you know, I try to please you guys, right? Okay. And thank you for coming on the show, ladies.
Thank you, Craig.
I really,
Thanks
you know,
a lot.
it's been one of the more enjoyable shows.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
been fun.
All right, this is called Jumbalaya. by Joe, me gotta go, me oh my oh. Me gotta go pull the Piero down that bayou. My Yvonne, the sweetest one, me oh my oh. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. Jumbalaya, crawfish pie and filet gumbo. For tonight I go to see Mama share a meal. Pick guitar, fill fruit jar, and be gay. Oh, son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. The Thibodeaus, the Fontaneaus, the place is buzzing. Him folk come from miles around to see their cousin. Dress in style, go hog wild, me oh my oh. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. Jumbalaya, crawfish pie and filet gumbo. For tonight I go to see Mama share a meal. Pick guitar, fill fruit jar, and be gay. Oh, son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. Yeehaw! This is Craig Dallas Rice telling you, get out and get in the garden. And if you need information, I'm sure the ladies told you how to get in touch with them. I'm sure you can get in touch with Antioch if you don't have a clue. So, you know, if you're like me, I just like say Antioch Garden, okay? That's what I would do. So, hey, see you next week. Have a wonderful week, and see you then. Yeah!